Here we go. Khamzat Chimaev versus Dricus du Plessis this weekend. I can't keep the excitement out of my voice, guys. This fight is chaos, pure chaos. This is insane. And we also have a phenomenal card, finally. A pay-per-view that is stacked, a sick pay-per-view with one of the biggest fight that we are getting this year so far. Biggest fight, hands down. This card's amazing. UFC 319. Khamzat Chimaev versus Dricus du Plessis, Chicago. You are getting an insane fight as the UFC returns to your city. And also, quick side note, but we hit 1K on my UFC 319 early preview video. That is my largest video by far. I cannot believe that I actually got a video that was 1K views. Thank you so much to anyone that's watching, subscribing. I appreciate anyone leaving comments to tell me to keep going. That's just what this is what I'm enjoying doing. I'm just enjoying talking about UFC. I've been on this journey now in my YouTube for 5 months. And yeah, I love this sport. I love this sport. I'm addicted. And it's fights like this that are why I do this, bro. So Khamzat Chimaev versus Dricus du Plessis. Sick middleweight fight. And it's an exciting time at the middleweight division right now. Anthony Hernandez last night just manhandled and dominated Roman Dolidze. And then you also got Kyle Borralho and Nasruddin Imavov. Probably whoever wins that is the next one up next versus the winner of this. It's the long-awaited return of Khamzat Chimaev. The long-awaited return. Finally, we see this man in a main event challenging for a title. It was inevitable. It took a long time, but he's here now. Khamzat Chimaev is here versus Dricus du Plessis. But in my new format, we are going to start all the way from the bottom and work the way up. So I'm skipping over this boring early prelim between the women, get that out of the way, and then the rest of these fights, well, except for this one, are almost all, male fights. First prelim of the night is Bryan the Butcher Battle versus Nursultan Ruziboyev. Bryan Battle kind of got a controversial win versus Randy Brown in his last win. He's also, notoriously known, well, not notoriously known, but like he had that sick promo after his win at UFC Paris, where he's like, you really thought the Butcher was going to lose to a Frenchman in a fist fight, right? That was Bryan Battle's kind of like big moment that put him on the map for me. Came into UFC 310, dueled it out with Randy Brown. Most people think that Randy Brown won that fight, but Bryan Battle came up with the win. He's taken on Nursultan Ruziboyev, who's been kind of up and down and fluctuating in these middleweight rankings. Bryan Battle did have, I think, some weight issues too in his last fight, so hopefully he makes weight this time around. And yeah, this starts off the night really for me. Bryan Battle versus Nursultan Ruziboyev. Who am I going to pick to win? Man, this is a sick prelim. The prelims are really fun. Like, this is just prelims. This is tough. Bryan Battle. I like Bryan Battle, but yeah, you know what? Nursultan Ruziboyev though is a real good middle level fighter. But whatever, man. I'm gonna go Bryan Battle to tee up Nursultan Ruziboyev. Why not? I mean, this isn't a fight I'm betting on, but okay, Edson Barboza versus Drakkar, close. We had to get Edson Barboza back in a fight. This dude missed his Seattle fight. So again, another really good prelim. Drakkar, close, and Edson Barboza. I'm going to go with Edson Barboza. Barbozy, as Lucas Tracy likes to say. Yeah, whatever. Fun scrap fight. Don't really care about that one. Chase Hooper versus Alexander Hernandez. Chase Hooper, he's been on a tear lately as he's working his way up the lightweight rankings. Take care of Clay Guida, who was his last fight. I don't know, Chase Hooper's been looking really good. 16-3. His last win was, versus Miller. Yeah, Chase Hooper's just been on this streak right now, and he's choking out everyone. Just great on the ground. Young lightweight prospect taking on Alexander Hernandez. So that is a good prelim as well. Jessica Andrade versus Lupi Gandinez. Don't care about that fight. Cheryl Mearshard versus Michael Olazechuk. Cheryl Mearshard, one of the great vets that we have in the UFC. I think his last fight was a loss to Rainer de Ritter. And then you got Michael Olazechuk, who picked up a win. Another cool prelim. These are just really good prelims for a pay-per-view. Some of these fights could be on the main card of Apex main cards. And then you got King Green versus Diego Ferreira. King Green Lost to Paddy Pimblett and got slept by submission by Paddy Pimblett, and then got slept and was on the receiving end of a flawless spinning wheel kick KO by Mauricio Ruffy. So King Green, he's always been that kind of gangsta in the lightweight rankings, always trying to get in your face, put some good scraps on. He had a good part of his career back in the day, but King Green, yeah, whatever. This is a cool featured prelim with King Green, and both these guys coming off losses. So King Green, honestly, to bounce back, right? Come on, King. Come on. You got it. You got to bounce back with a win, bro. This dude keeps on getting slept out in every fight. He gets knocked out way too often. He has no chin. But yeah, he got slept by Turner, Paddy by submission, and Ruffy. Before that, he was on a 2-fight win streak and then beat Jim Miller. So yeah, King Green as the featured prelims. So again, really amazing prelims. You're going to want to watch these prelims, bro, to warm yourself up for this main card, because this main card is just bangers. Okay. Now it really starts. Main card opener, Kai Asakura versus Tim Elliot. So I haven't watched a Tim Elliot fight in my life yet, since I've started watching UFC religiously. But Kai Asakura, as we all know, came in from Ryzen, was a champion, was one of the rare debuts where he got an immediate title shot versus Alexandre Pantoja, who is arguably now becoming one of the greatest flyweights of all, for sure top 3, but maybe even is trying to chase Demetrius Johnson. Just an absolute dominant cannibal is his nickname at the top of this division. And Kai Asakura got an immediate title shot to make things fun, to make things interesting, because Pantoja's been running laps in this division. He's been fighting too many guys way too often. So Kai Asakura got his shot. He's a flashy, unique striker. He's very fast. He had one big moment in that first round where he did a knee that got everyone ooh, this could be something. But in the end, ultimately, he got completely suppressed and overwhelmed by Alexander Pantoja and his phenomenal grappling. And Kai Asakura is now back in the lobby and trying to get back to the top, to a place that he was really just gifted with no real merit, but the UFC was just trying to keep things interesting for that UFC 310 co-main until it became the main event. So it's rare the situation that Kai Asakura got, but yeah, now the UFC giving him a winnable matchup here. I think this could swing either way, for Kai Asakura to really just bounce back and get a good showcasing performance to show why the UFC signed him and why had that moment. Just remind us why you're supposed to be this special creative striker at Ryzen. So I hope for Kai Asakura's sake that he could win this fight, because it will look very bad if he loses. Because then why did the UFC put this guy in the first place for a title shot versus Pantoja when he's losing to a guy like Tim Elliot in his next fight, especially if he gets finished? So Kai Asakura can't afford to lose this. Really, these debut guys, they get put in these big spots, and then if they lose, and then they lose the next fight, it just looks really bad. So Kai Asakura, cool, creative striker in the flyweight division, taking on Tim Elliot. And let me just look at Tim Elliot real quick. His last fight, he lost to Muhammad Mokaev, and then he beat this other guy by submission. I don't know much about Tim Elliot. Not going to pretend like I know really much about him, but I'm just going to pick Kai Asakura. I'm going to pick Kai Asakura to bounce back. I feel like the UFC gave him this matchup so that he could bounce back. Jared Cannonier versus Michael Venom Page is the second fight up on this main card. This could be a fight night main event for sure in an Apex. Michael Venom Page, what is this, his 4th fight now in the UFC? He lost to Ian Gary. He beat Kevin Holland in his first fight. He lost to Ian Gary, and then he beat Shara Magomedov and took away Shara Magomedov's O. So Michael Venom Page is another fighter that came in from another promotion, was a late signing. Very fun, entertaining, elusive striker. He darts back and forth and has this very hard to hit style. And he's taken on this look at Jared Cannonier. He's huge muscular build. He took a little bit of a skid. He lost to Kyle Borralho. He lost to, what else? He lost to Nasruddin Imavov, I think. I don't know, Jared Cannonier has taken some hits in his career, and people thought if he lost to Gregory Rodriguez, he'd really be done. But he bounced back in a strong finish, and he was winning, I think, most of that fight with Gregory Rodriguez, and then he finished him. So Jared Cannonier has been, and people forget that this guy challenged for a title, I think, versus Israel Adesanya at one point in his career, and he's changed between 3 different weight classes, from heavyweight to light heavyweight to now middleweight. So he's in phenomenal shape. This is a sick fight. This is a sick fight to warm us up in the second fight on this main card with Michael Venom Page and Jared Cannonier. And I don't think this is so like easy to call either. With Michael Venom Page, like, will Jared Cannonier have the accuracy and the pace to be able to get after it versus Michael Venom Page and be able to hit him, get in his grill, and really just overrun Michael Venom Page to the point where he finds the finish? I don't see Michael Page really finishing Jared Cannonier. Jared Cannonier is just like bigger. I don't know. Even though this is the same weight class, I just feel like Jared Cannonier, he's huge, and he could really just like, I don't know. This is a great fight though, with Michael Venom Page taking on Jared Cannonier. A good fight in this middleweight division. And whoever wins this should definitely get like a top 5 opponent next. Yeah, those are my thoughts on that fight. You move on to Carlos Prates, the Nightmare, versus Geoff Neal. This fight was originally supposed to be on 3/14, and then it got moved with Geoff Neal pulling out, so Carlos Prates ended up taking on Ian Gary on short notice. And yeah, Carlos Prates was the first fighting nerd to take a loss in the UFC from all 4 of them. But again, the fighting nerds have been phenomenal. And I originally picked Carlos Prates to put on a striking masterclass versus Geoff Neal and continue his win streak of finishes in the UFC. So this is an extremely winnable matchup for Carlos Prates, but Geoff Neal is not an easy fight. Geoff Neal definitely has a bunch of violent finishes under his belt. He's a really well-rounded welterweight, mostly clean on the feet. He hasn't fought since 308 though, when he beat Rafael Dos Santos. So Carlos Prates, what's so frustrating about Carlos Prates is he was a few hammer fists away from getting a buzzer beater win versus Ian Gary. He really almost finished Ian Gary in that fight, but Ian Gary did outclass him for most of the fight. And I was just waiting for Carlos Prates to get it going. You have to understand you're losing the rounds. Get into your striking bag, use that length, and get after it. But Carlos Prates never really did that until the final round, and he almost finished Ian Gary. He really did. He was like 2 or 3 away. But Carlos Prates, again, what we've seen from him so far in his career, he's a lengthy arm striker and has barely even connected on some of his finishes, but have still cleaned out and put his opponents to night. And put them, yeah. So Carlos Prates, one of my favorite fighters still right now in the UFC. And I'm going with Carlos Prates right now to get the win versus Geoff Neal, to bounce back and hopefully get another finish win versus Geoff Neal. Because, yeah, I love Carlos Prates. Just want him to just do so well in welterweight. Because, yeah, and even with him smoking and drinking, which adds to, like, his kind of character as a fighter, which is mad fun. And maybe he'll take a transition from that if he loses this fight. Because then he'll see that maybe something's not working and he needs to. But so far, he's finished all his opponents except for Ian Gary. So Carlos Prates, I mean, this is just the 3rd fight down. So, sick middleweight fighting for Geoff Neal. He lost to Shavkat. He lost to Ian Gary. Like, he's been losing to a lot of, like, the much higher level talent. But he's beaten all, like, the like, less, like, mid guys. Like, Ponzinibbio, Neil Magny, Rafael Dos Santos. Like, nothing too crazy. Like, Carlos Prates needs to win this fight. He needs to bounce back and get the showcase performance versus Geoff Neal. So Carlos Prates back in action in Chicago. The co-main event. Lerone Murphy versus Aaron Pico added. Pico was supposed to fight Movsar. That, thank God, ended up falling apart. Pico's like, just get me in a fight already. So they put him in, honestly, into a much better matchup with Lerone Murphy. Perfect way to introduce Pico into the UFC with an undefeated featherweight like Lerone Murphy, who's still not well known, but is kind of getting there. He kind of got a much bigger, like, statement win versus Josh Emmett. He didn't finish him. He went to 5 rounds with him, but he won that fight. He's still undefeated. And he also beat Dan Ige, Edson Barbosa. So Lerone Murphy is slowly making it there, but this is the big step for Lerone Murphy. If he could beat and kill the hype of a guy coming in like Aaron Pico in his debut, Pico's supposed to be this special kind of fighter. Some people are even saying that he could give Movsar some problems. So I'm really interested and intrigued to see how this will go with Pico. And again, Pico being another debut guy, getting put in a big spot on a co-main event of such a card. So yeah, I expect this to be more of like a striking battle that will hopefully end in a finish. But Lerone Murphy is a very is tactical the right word? I don't know. But Pico, I haven't watched much of him. I don't watch these guys until they come into the UFC. Once they come into the UFC, then I'm like putting more attention and watching them, right? Because the UFC is the best promotion. So Pico, we'll see what he's really all about in this co-main event versus Lerone Murphy. But a good co-main event, just all around, just sick card, right? Sick card. Like, UFC's got to make more pay-per-views like this. Now, we get into this main event. Khamzat Chimaev, the Wolf, versus Dricus du Plessis. Now, I've already talked a lot about these two guys. I've made 2 separate videos, one talking about Dricus, one talking about Khamzat. But yeah, we have waited a long time to finally see Khamzat Chimaev get into this spot, to be challenging for a title in the main fight of a pay-per-view. It just always felt like this is eventually where he's going to be. We just had to wait a little bit longer for it. These guys both look locked in for this fight, and Dricus du Plessis has been wanting this fight. We finally have a champion who wants the boogeyman, who wants the hardest test in the division. He's not scared or shying away from anyone. So he even said he was begging for this fight, and we had to sit through a Sean Strickland rematch before getting this fight, which was so frustrating, but whatever. We're finally here. We're finally here to see what really should have happened after he beat Israel Adesanya Dricus, and he's just been super impressive. Hasn't lost yet in his UFC career. People were puzzled as to how is this guy still doing it at this level, like with his style, how random he is, but he keeps on doing it. He beat Robert Whittaker. He beat Sean Strickland twice, and he submitted Israel Adesanya, submitted Darren Till. He has submissions in his bag. He's got TKO finishes. He has a great gas tank. He's looking to engage in Khamzat Chimaev in all types of ways. And of course, he's just incredible on the mic. I cannot wait for this press conference and what these guys, how Dricus is going to diss it out with Khamzat, because Khamzat's no joke. Khamzat is no joke. He's just different from all the rest. A special type of fighter that's just hopped up and down from welterweight to middleweight. He's beaten Kamaru Usman, Gilbert Burns, Kevin Holland. Most recently, he finished Robert Whittaker in the first round. He just threw around Robert Whittaker. And again, the biggest questions are, how is Khamzat Chimaev going to approach this fight? I think most likely we will see what he's done every single fight, which is as soon as that ref starts the first round, he's blitzing. He might start with a few steps in and out in a striking pose, looking for the right angle, and then shoot for immediately in a super aggressive low takedown on Dricus du Plessis and try to do that overwhelming, insane pressure on Dricus. And Dricus may have never faced someone like that. But again, we like to believe that Dricus is the best person that Khamzat's faced yet to be able to withstand that kind of pressure. We've seen the famous video of like 5 different guys trying to take down Dricus at the gym. Dricus, I'm sure, has been preparing for that. And I think he's looking to also engage in the grappling and wrestling with Khamzat Chimaev. This is just going to be a chaotic fight from that first round. Like when I'm sitting there seeing these two guys, it's going to be crazy. It looks like I don't want to like say anything to like jinx it, but like, yeah, Khamzat Chimaev looks locked in. He's taking the proper preparations. He's staying out of the way from anyone so that nothing happens to get him out of this fight. So Khamzat Chimaev, and also clean-shaven Khamzat Chimaev is back. He's back at being like the bald with the crazy beard. He just looks scarier like that, honestly. It's a more intimidating look. And he's been training with his team and Arman Sarukian at Jackson Gym, doing like some good training regimens and conditioning. He's saying he's ready for 5 rounds, but do we really believe that? Do we really believe that Khamzat Chimaev is ready to go 5 rounds with Dricus du Plessis? I realized the Kamaru Usman fight, I think it was only 3 rounds. I thought that was a 5-round fight. But it was only 3, so he's never actually really gone to a 5-round fight. Or was the Robert Whittaker fight supposed to be 5 rounds? But if Dricus du Plessis, and a lot of people are picking Dricus du Plessis, it's crazy. It's so tough to call. This is such a good fight. Like the undisputed, the super well-rounded champion taking on the number one right contender. Like fights like this. Also, what I'm really happy about is that Khamzat Chimaev definitely confirms he's not planning on retiring after he wins the belt. In fact, he said he wants to stay more active now since he's allowed in the U.S. He wants to fight maybe again later this year. He wants to become a 3-division champion, saying a whole bunch of plans for his future. As long as you could stay healthy, Khamzat, please. I saw this guy that said that it would be a disaster if Khamzat's champion, and that is definitely something to take into consideration. If Khamzat is champion, how active will he be? Will he be fighting these guys that are waiting in the wings, like Nasruddin Imavov, Baralio, Anthony Hernandez? But Chimaev definitely is not retiring. He wants to stay and champion. Maybe even we get an Islam Makhachev super fight in the future between Khamzat and Islam. That would go bonkers. Honestly, if we get that over to Topuria fight, I'm also cool with that. Because I think that's just as big. A Khamzat versus Islam fight. So, and for Dricus, if he knows how to dish out these 5-round fights, he's dug deep to finish his Adesanya. He's gone the 5 rounds with Sean Strickland twice. So Dricus, I think, is feeling really good going to this fight, knowing he has the advantage when it comes to deeper rounds, and Khamzat Chimaev hasn't been in those waters yet. So how will Khamzat Chimaev do in those later rounds? If Dricus du Plessis can outlast the crazy pressure, the chaotic Khamzat Chimaev grappling and wrestling in the first minute, round and a half, then maybe it starts to become Dricus' game, because then Dricus turns it up with the head kicks, striking, the grappling, and then Khamzat Chimaev with his gas tank, who knows? That's the mystique of this fight. That's what I cannot wait to see. And yeah, Khamzat Chimaev, just the most dangerous first-round fighter that we have seen in the UFC. He's finally here in the spot where he belongs. He's been one of the biggest names in this, and really since the day he came in, he's just been on this crazy run, throwing around guys like Kevin Holland, Li Yang, dug deep but finished, but really took it to Gilbert Burns. Yeah, it's crazy. It's so crazy. And Dricus du Plessis, just so impressive, how he's just continued to win in his career. These guys are both saying they're ready to kill. They ain't ready to go to war. They're ready to kill. So, bro, I'm so excited for this fight. This is a phenomenal UFC fight card with Khamzat Chimaev and Dricus du Plessis. And I haven't even said who I'm going to win, who I think is going to win. Part of me, tells me that Dricus, but, I don't know. Something in my gut is telling me Khamzat Chimaev, is going to do something crazy. Dricus might never see it coming, and before he could even get out of it, Khamzat Chimaev's doing what he does. So, I'm going to go with Khamzat. I might feel mad stupid about this, but I'm going to go with Khamzat Chimaev. I think there's no, wrong... I mean, obviously there's a wrong answer because one guy's going to win, but, both these guys are so good. This is such a good fight. But yeah, guys, incredible fight that we have ahead of ourselves this weekend. This fight just feels different than the rest. I haven't felt like this in a long time about a fight. The rest of the card as well is just must watch after must watch. Actually a card where you could sit through pretty much from the beginning of the prelims. And maybe if you want to just take a quick break during this Jessica Andrade fight and even Giro Mirsha and then walk back in, you're going to want to be in that seat from the featured prelim for sure until this main fight. Yeah, this card's going to cook. This card is going to cook. And yeah, so excited. Khamzat Chimaev versus Dricus du Plessis. Until next time.